Do recognize that we moms already have so much on our plates, but we also statistically are the ones who are the fighters and the ones who fight for the better future for our children, still making sure that we are prioritizing our health and well-being.
I've got to think about what I do have, right? Focus on that and then make decisions that are going to continue to feed all the lovely things that I have in my life versus staying and making decisions based on only fear.
Fear has held me back from making very good decisions.
Mindfulness and mindful meditation, I believe, have been shown to be just as effective as medication for things like depression and anxiety. That's what we're trying to do here, is help folks build that so that they can actually see that the power is within them and in their mind and in their body.
So, good morning and welcome. We are going to host kind of like a podcast style support group, and hopefully, this will just help anyone else who may have been dealing with increased stress or anxiety with the results of this week's election. Maybe what do we do from here? Maybe concerns or sentiments about potential increased um, lack of awareness and support for people of color, for women, any of those things. If you have anxieties about, it's just really kind of to shed light that it is going to be okay. We are going to support each other. And most importantly, that there are already boots on the ground planning to continue fighting for women's rights and the rights of workers, laborers, and people of color who may be disproportionately impacted by some of the policy with the new incoming administration. So with that being said, I think we're just going to kind of ask some of the questions and ask, how can we move forward in our feelings in a productive way, and know that we also are doing our best to create a safe space for any of those concerns that may be arising.
Yes. And so let me introduce myself. My name is Ashlei Lien. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and also a wellness coach. And so I'm happy to be here today with my wonderful colleague, Maya.
Yes, and I'll introduce myself as well. I am Maya Mullins, nurse practitioner and health and wellness coach for moms. And really, it's just about creating a holistic approach, mind, body, soul, to all of the things that we deal with as women, as moms, trying to raise children and, keeping all of our safety, the safety of our families, at heart.
Yeah. Well, then that leads me to my first question for you, Maya. What brings us here today? Yeah, what brings us here today? What was going on for you?
Yeah, I think I really struggled with first of all, I'll just say that I was shocked. I've heard from other people that they really weren't. I was. So it really came as just a blow for me in terms of the sentiment that other people obviously had in great majority to, feel like this was the right direction for our our country to go in, and feeling fear around how to raise children of color in a place where not everybody cares about maybe what happens to
Right.
children.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was important for us to get on here today and let people know they're not alone in that feeling. And I know that that was something you shared with me, right away. Like, let's find a way to let people know they have community and, people to lean on, because that's really how we're going to get through this time. And so, why do you think that matters? Why does that matter to you to have community, to all the people that you care about in your life, that we all come together?
Yeah, it really, I think in the grand scheme of things, this is the way that I've been able to navigate in these past several days, is that I think it all came as a great shock to us 4 years or 8 years ago now. when it happened the first time. But again, none of us actually saw with our own eyes what was about to transpire. So I
Right.
think it was shock and awe, whereas this time it felt like shock and fear
Mm,
because we actually saw children in cages. We actually saw the hateful rhetoric. We actually see that over and over again. The mass deportation now, this movement of that whole coalition to really spread hatred. Um and I think if you've seen what happened and you know that that's possible to happen again, I think it's scary.
mm,
I also think though that we survived and we will survive again. Will it be, very difficult to watch some of these things again? Yes. Do we need to do our part and continue organizing and continue supporting organizations who are organizing, who are actually really trying to protect all people who are in this country? Yes.
mm,
And so I do recognize that we moms already have so much on our plates, but we also statistically are the ones who are the fighters and
mm,
the ones who fight for the better future for our children, even though we already have everything on our plates. And I guess my thing is, how do we support each other so that we can maintain the balance of our work, everything on our plates, raising children, and also knowing that we also are possibly people that are going to be called on to support the groups fighting and possibly fighting and organizing ourselves. Um, and how that may affect, we may have family members who live in states that are not going to be protected the way that you and I may be a little bit more shielded from some of that stuff being in a state like California, or if you're in a state like New York, there's a lot of area in between now, as we've seen, that will not, you know, protect some of the history being taught in schools, etc.
right.
I've heard of groups saying they're supporting more homeschooling options so that moms can come together in community and find ways to work and have their children homeschooled if they don't necessarily feel safe, especially in those other in between ground states, if you want to call that.
Mm,
So those are just some of the ideas in terms of we're going to be okay. We're
mm.
going to survive. We've done it again. We've done it before. We will do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm really hearing you say is just that we all have some deep feelings maybe, and we're not quite sure how it's going to impact us. And yet coming together, as moms, as, people in the same community, that we've really got to lean into each other in order to kind of get through this and fight the good fight, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, and with all that being said, still making sure that we are prioritizing our health and well-being.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest, I fell all the way off my health and well-being train this week. It just felt a little bit too overwhelming, and I think that that's okay. And I had
Absolutely.
to remember I had to give myself grace, and so just as a reminder to everybody, you have to give yourself grace, but also let's make a plan. Let's get back on our health and well-being. Our health is still going to be the health that we have, for the next 50 to 60 years potentially. And so, yes, there is going to be stress. There is going to be fearful times. There is going to be, we don't know what's going to happen. And I know that there's war in other parts of that. I know all of this just seems very daunting and very overwhelming and not knowing the what if, what if, what if, what if. But we have to find ways to be centered. And with that being said, I think we wanted to offer some of those ways in which we can be centered right now in terms of taking care of our well-being,
Right.
taking 5 minutes to do some breath work or meditation. And then, Ashley, for your part, reaching out to a therapist
Mm,
to get that additional support if anything with life just starting to feel like you need that extra outlet.
right. Yeah. All right. And did you want to move into breath work now? I did have an additional question for you, but I can always
Sure.
ask it at
Let's
the
do
end.
that.
Yeah, okay. As a nurse practitioner, yeah, what do you think that this means? What do you think that you're gonna see from your patients, as they come in and their nervous system is being impacted? What does this mean for our, health and wellness, as you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's something to bear in mind that there are a lot of people who are really happy with the outcome of the election too. And so I'll just say for those of us who are not and deeply concerned about the future of this country, um, our nervous systems have taken a hit this week.
Hmm.
And our cortisol levels are up. Again, there is a level of just kind of low grade stress that certain groups deal with that we now know historically, historical oppression and historical, physical and mentally taxing labor has had on groups of people and their health trajectory, generational health, if you will, especially for people of color. Um, we are more predisposed to things like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol as a result of some of this. And so, again, some of us may already be seeing this in the generations who are ahead of us. So, what we can do now and to leave for the generations behind us is really just say, like, yes, we understand that we are predisposed to this, and what can we do to interject now so
Yeah.
that we don't have children with type 2 diabetes and we're not raising children with high blood pressure and diabetes, eat those healthy options that we can, just tap into wherever we can, making the healthiest choice when we can. I understand that we all have to pull over in a drive-through sometimes, for time's sake. But what I'm saying is overall, just trying to make the most health conscious decisions that we can for our children and for ourselves so
Mm,
that we don't spend that 50, 60, 70, potentially 80 year, potentially 4 decades
mm,
of chronic disease.
right. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I see, and that is why I'm standing on my hill to
Mm,
say I want to save any every and any mom that I can
mm,
going down that path. Now that I have had a really good look at what that path looks like when
right.
we don't, and to be fair, our moms and their moms, that wasn't taught, right? And even if it was taught, they probably didn't have the resources to get some of those things.
Right. Yeah, the system was not set up, for people of color to succeed and to have the same health and wellness as their white counterparts. Sure.
Correct. Um, but I believe that if we know better, we do better.
Mm,
And um, I believe that now we know, and now it's up to us to support one another to make those decisions whenever possible.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
answer.
yeah, and so with that being said, that's the health component
Mm,
that I'm passionate about helping women over the finish line with.
sure.
My question for you is, what does the mental health support look like for women? Um, and what do we need to do to be offloading the nervous system? And we already touched on that. We'll talk about breath work and meditation, but what are some other things that we can be doing to really help create that balance for our mental health?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you had mentioned earlier just the weight that the world is likely to continue to put on moms, that some of us are going to have bigger battles in states where maybe our bodies are not as protected and our rights are not as protected. And usually what that means is that moms are going to do more, and that's hard because, like you always tell me, we don't believe in the super mom. And yet somehow we're going to have to dig deep and come together to get through this, and to help our folks who thought that this might be a better decision, um, continue to look at other ways, to make better decisions that maybe are in their best interest. So what that means for our mental health is that it's definitely going to take a toll. Just like you said, everything was just shot this week. And at this point, it was just survival. And when we're in survival mode, it is really hard to make the decisions that are best for, our mental health and wellness and physical health. So it's finding a way to make sure that doesn't get thrown to the wayside, like you were saying. So that is making sure you see practitioners and healers that you know and trust and that you can go to and say, I need help with this. Same thing with mental health, right? Finding somebody who's going to understand you and make you feel validated when you're feeling upset, when you're feeling overwhelmed, and then finding a way to say, all right, there was time and space for that. Now we're going to find time and space for you so that you can keep, going back out there. And so I think that that's going to be a big part of it, which is why I think you and I both think a lot of the healing is in our community this time, continuing to come together so that when one of us goes down, the other one's like, I got you. Right. And then when that person's like, okay, I'm tapped out, it's like, okay, cool. You gave me time to rest. Now you can lean on me. That's really how we're going to get through all of this. And of course, that means, like you were saying, finding ways to restore our body, since our mind and our body are so connected, that when we're feeling overwhelmed in our mind with so many things going on, all the catastrophizing, thinking the worst thing that is going to happen, and then sometimes that is going to come true, that we have to find a way to tell our system that it doesn't need to be in survival mode every single day. Because as you mentioned, that chronic stress is going to lead to all the health issues that you're seeing when patients come to you. And
That's
then for me, it's all those fears will then rule their life and they'll feel like I can't possibly continue on. And so we're trying to find a way to make sure they don't feel that way, both mentally and physically.
yeah. And on that note, I think maybe just a helpful tip that has helped me
Mhm.
has been because sometimes I can kind of catastrophize, like, oh, this is going to happen, and now this is going to happen, and then we're going to be in World War III, and like we're catastrophizing over things that A, have not happened yet, B, we don't know that will happen, and C, we have no control over.
Right,
Oh,
right.
and again, I think it is so important to worry about the things we do have control over, raising good human beings who will also pick up the torch and continue doing good in the world.
Mhm.
Things like making sure that if our family is somehow impacted or we have undocumented relatives somewhere in the country that is not a sanctuary state, what we can do to put them at ease or
Mhm.
help or support in any way. Those are the things we do have some control over. And so when I find myself catastrophizing over the, Handmaid's Tale, World War III type of scenarios, I'm just like, stop, cancel, cancel those thoughts.
Mhm.
And I have love, I have light within me. I'm thankful for my daughter. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for, food. I'm thankful for shelter. I'm thankful for and that really helps me
Yeah.
to stop that loop.
Mhm.
So if anyone else has ever dealt with, and that doesn't have to be about the worry of our country. That could be you worrying about anything, right? How am I going to pay my rent this month? How am I, because I have those same things too.
Right,
What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I lose this job? What if I da da da? None of
right,
that is helpful though. And again, it just breeds chronic inflammatory stress, which breeds chronic inflammatory disease in our bodies.
right.
And that prevents us from losing weight. That keeps us in a low energy state. That keeps us in a low vibration state. That prevents us from really unlocking our true highest and best good and highest and best potential.
Mhm.
And so it's the long story is it's never useful, whether it was about whether the outcome of the election was what we wanted, that still thought process is still not helpful. Right.
Right.
So it's really just getting to a place of calling in the love, calling in the success, calling in the abundance, calling in the new job that you've been praying for, calling in the support that you need with your family or your friends or your spouse or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm hearing you say like there's room to feel what you're feeling, and then also then saying, okay, I've given that the time and space it needs. I've got to shift to this gratitude space where it's like I've got to think about what I do have. right? Focus on that and then make decisions that are going to continue to feed, right? All the lovely things that I have in my life versus staying and making decisions based on only fear, which can lead to a lot of maybe more poor decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not even necessarily that may lead to a poor decision, but fear, I'll speak for myself, has held me back from making very good decisions. So, making the decision to start a business, making the decision to outreach to help other women, making the decision to become a nurse practitioner and be a healer. Fear almost kept me from doing all of those things
Yeah.
because I didn't think I had what it took. So, if anybody else has ever been in a space like that, I just want to say, you know, don't let fear rule your life. Don't let worry rule your life. Don't let anxiety rule your life. And if you are struggling with fear, anxiety, or worry, overtaking a lot of your thoughts,
Mhm.
definitely get help.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and there's all different types of help. Sure, you have the Western way of therapy where you can find folks, though, who are decolonizing their version of therapy. I would say I'm one of those. And there are many others similar to myself. And then there's folks that, yeah, where there's a coaching, where there's, just different forms, like you're saying, somatic work, where you're looking more at the body and how it's connected to the mind. There's just so many other ways that you can heal fully, holistically, and bringing everything together to get through these next few years. And then some, right? May not even stop there. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's just go through like a short breath work so that people can see. And it doesn't even have to be fancy. It can just be honestly like taking some slow, deep breaths in. If you're in your car, if you're, commuting to work, if you've just had a meltdown with your kiddo and you just need a moment to reset, we can just do that. So we just want to inhale for 5. So inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. I like to close my eyes, but people can do whatever is good for them. And just continue to breathe in and out. Another one in. You should start to feel some of the tension in your neck and shoulders relax as you keep breathing in. And you can always just go at your own pace. If longer breaths feel better, holding at the top feels better. Bigger breath. Now take in more air at the top and exhale. I'm already starting to feel more relaxed.
Same.
Let's take two more big deep breaths. Hold in and breathe out slowly. Last one in. And what this does is this helps to decrease cortisol, remove some of the stress from the nervous system, reset our brains and our focus a little bit so that we can break the pattern of the overwhelm and the constant level of low grade tension that we're feeling in our bodies and in our minds. And you can do this any time of the day that you're feeling a sense of overwhelm, and that really only takes less than 5 minutes to just give yourself a reset. More advanced techniques of breath work have really been found to show that they can heal your body. So,
Yes. Yeah, mindfulness and mindful meditation, I believe, are have been shown to be just as effective as medication for things like depression and anxiety. Obviously, it takes time to build a habit and be consistent with a practice. But I think that's what we're trying to do here is help folks build that so that they can actually see that the power is within them and in their mind and in their body.
yeah, definitely. Um, so with that being said, I do like to pair breath work with meditation, just to kind of firstly get yourself in a state of calm. And then secondly, the ability to tap into that mindfulness, I think, becomes a little bit easier, because now you've just offloaded the nervous system and now you can really tap into that. So if you want to lead us through.
Yes, a mindful meditation. So again, as Maya mentioned, you can either close your eyes, you can look down, or you can have a soft gaze at the screen, whatever feels comfortable for you. I want you to notice yourself rolling your shoulders back and down. You're gonna keep with a steady pace in your breath. Big deep breaths in, big exhale out. You're gonna notice your body pressed against your seat. You're going to bring your focus to your feet and your toes, noticing if there's any tension and releasing it. Moving on to our ankles and our calves, noticing any discomfort and letting it go. Moving on to our thighs and our quads and our hips, where women carry a lot of their tension, stress, trauma. Big deep breath in and let it all go. Any thoughts creep into your mind, just watch them float away. Just notice them there. Don't give them any attention. Moving our focus into our bellies. Big deep breath in. Big exhale out. Continuing to move into our chest, where we carry a lot of fear and worry, anxiety. Let it go. Moving to our shoulders and our neck. You can give a nice stretch, making sure that you're releasing any tension. Continuing to breathe. And then lastly, moving into our face and our mind. Now telling ourselves that we feel relaxed. We've let the stress go. Big deep breath in. Big exhale out. One more time. Big deep breath in. This last exhale, letting go of all the stress. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes and return to your day.
That was great. I already feel a lot better.
That's great. Yeah, that's called a body scan, where you're just checking in with yourself and everything that's going on. And the mindful piece is letting it go, noticing your body, noticing the tension, and saying, okay, I see you there. I feel you, breathing it out.
Wonderful. And again, you don't have to, you can, I think some of these practices you can do without anyone guiding you. You can just kind of learn to guide yourself. In the beginning, it may be easier to hear someone guide you
Yeah.
through it, but there's no right or wrong way. Just kind of checking in with yourself anytime you need in the car, at night before bed, if you just need some help winding down and calming everything down. Um, those are always good times. I like to do it first thing in the morning too.
Hmm.
Set a tone for my day and
Yes.
kind of wrap my thoughts around what I hope to accomplish with my day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, morning, lunchtime, before bed, all great times to sort of pause, and just take in your day and your moment. And like you said, set an intention, even if it's, to get good rest and to, let things go until tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. So with that being said, do we have any closing questions that we wanted to address?
Well, I think it's just what are you offering? What are you and I offering now and in the new year that we can continue to, help folks that are listening in or watching this, who want to continue to be a part of the communities that we're trying to build both together and, yeah, just together.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so, some of the ways that we're trying to go about this is I'm hosting health and wellness support. I'm actually going to be launching a challenge on Monday, an accountability challenge, just for us to continue our health and wellness goals going into the holiday season, because I do feel like it's easy for us to kind of all just fall off track and fall by the wayside. And then we feel daunted again in January when we're like burned out, haven't been taking care of ourselves, and feel like we need to create a resolution. This is going to be, let's roll into the new year already setting some of those foundations for better habits. So, mayamullins.com for that. If you would like to become part of that journey and community. And then also, we are planning on hosting another Mind, Body, Soul health and wellness event January 18th. New year, new self-care routine. So be on the lookout for that. Our last event was amazing. If you weren't able to be there, it was really good. The feedback was we definitely need to keep that going. So that is already in the works being planned. Ashley, for you.
Yes, so if you wanted to see me as a therapist, you could visit ashleylien.com, and I also do wellness coaching there. Maya and I are hoping to partner together in January to also have some free events maybe throughout the week where folks can tune in and see what we're all about, and then continue to try to create community with that, where we're inviting any moms or any folks who really want to think about their holistic wellness, so their mind, body, soul, all of it together, and want to, yeah, just make friends, want to have some accountability, and move their bodies in ways that really feels good for them, as well as talking about any goals that they may have moving forward. So just continuing to have folks to rely on is really what we're trying to build.
Definitely. But yeah, I think this was really great. We'd love, any questions, comments, let us know and stay tuned for the next one.
Hey,
All right, take care.
thanks, Maya.
Bye, moms.